My name is Tolulope Kalejaya, as he has introduced, and he has really given a very awesome introduction about the importance of research experience. You know, how you can have a lot of experience and not present it properly, and you can have not so much, but do a lot with it on how you present it. And that's what I'm going to try to beat out throughout this presentation today. A little about me. I know you said some things. I'm just going to give a brief about my journey so far. I finished my bachelor's degree in 2019 from the University of Ibadan. So I had a bachelor's degree in zoology. And excited bachelor's graduate, I always knew that I wanted to do like an advanced degree, master's or PhD. I thought that the journey would be quite straight for me, but I actually ended up working for 3 years. So I worked at a biotech company in Nigeria for 3 years. That was between 2020 to 2023. And finally, in July 2023, I came to the United States of America, excited. The journey ahead looked very promising and still very promising. And between that, arriving in the US and actually like finishing my program, there are a number of notable things that I was really proud of doing. One of which is like I interned at Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic is one of the biggest hospitals in the world. So I interned there during the summer of 2024, and it was a very good exposure for me to see, what are the kind of roles available for me even after graduation. It was a very good exposure for me. Apart from that, I also, presented my research in a couple of conferences. I also joined a number of fellowships, particularly ASM fellowships. So that was a great one. And finally, in the summer of last year, I wanted to say this year, but I realized we're in the new year now. The summer of last year, I finished my master's, and in August last year, I started like my first role, which is actually like a research technician at Texas A&M. So what I do is that I manage the lab, kind of a new lab. So we work on like cardiovascular diseases and stuff like that. And I'm very excited for the future and what it holds. Actually, in like a week time, I'm going to start up a new role, which is more of a industry focused role, like doing biotechnological stuff, more like what I did after my first degree. All right. So before we go into all the step 1, step 2, step 3, I want us to take a moment, every one of us here, to think about this question. It's an obvious question, but I want you to think about it right now. Why do you actually need an advanced degree? Is it a master's or a PhD? Why? Apart from jackpying or searching for greener pastures, in all sincerity of your heart, why do you need an advanced degree? And I would like somebody to respond.
Okay, good evening. Good evening, everybody. I kind of knew you at this call me. I think that I personally like the idea of hyper or super specialization, where like I'm just in a very, very, very specialized niche. So I think that knowing that I want that an advanced degree would be one step closer to having that prior to residency and all of that. So yes.
Amazing, awesome. And I think that what you just said will be very similar for many people. Everybody, you want to be like a specialist. You want to be an expert in what you do, right? So if you think about it from that perspective, it kind of feels counterintuitive that you're going for an advanced degree, but they expect you to have some form of skills even before you come in. So let's say you were going for a PhD. Even though you are doing the PhD to gain skills, it is still expected that you have some foundational skills. And I have here written that you say having foundational skills shows that you have the capacity to develop more skills, like you have the capacity to take on more skills. And that's where I'm just trying to lay the foundation for why research skills are important. They are very important, not because they expect you to know everything before coming into the PhD program, but it shows that you have the capacity to actually develop advanced skills. So we're gonna go through this like in a series of steps, right? And the first step that we need to think about or like highlight before we start talking about how we package our research experience for grad school application or even for job roles is that we need to identify key experiences. So the word here is key. When we say something is key, is not just every single job experience that you have or every single research experience that you have, but it is key because first it is relevant to whatever it is that you're applying for. So you as an individual, for start, you could have multiple interests. Like you could be applying to a number of, let's say, for example, 5 schools with similar programs, right? But each of them, there will be different research experience that you have that will be more apt for one particular program than the other. So when we say key right here, the important word to note is that it has to be key experiences, not every single thing. So not every single experience you have, but what is actually relevant. And I have listed here like an example of a key or relevant experience could be a lab or bench work that you've done. It could be field work. It could be computational. That means there's nothing word lab in it. It could be bioinformatics. It could be something as to you it might look so simple. It could be something as simple as writing a literature review or doing a project work with a group of people where you just maybe you didn't publish, but you guys produce like a write-up. And what I have here is that you have to make sure that whatever experience you're trying to highlight has an impact. It's not just about how long the experience was, it's more about the impact of that experience and how you are able to, properly word it. So I have this image here, like I know it shows money, but what I'm trying to say is that if you're currently in school, this will be very, very important for you, or if you're a fresh graduate, as much as possible, if you know that graduate school or Western world is in the books for you somewhere in the future, I think that it's very important that you start taking notes of every important experience that you have. And note that even if you don't have any work experience, your entire 4 or 5 years in your first degree or your bachelor's, there's definitely more that you have done than just your research. Like there's definitely much more that you can highlight on your graduate school application than just your capstone research. There are probably mini projects that you did. Maybe you worked with a group of people, you produced something, even if it was something that just ended up in a slide, a presentation that you presented. If it was maybe you did an internship, I think there's something they call it where you do maybe during the break. So if you are still in school, this will be very, very important for you. Like try to keep a record. It could be on your drive of things that you have done that would, at the end of the day, when you are then ready to apply to graduate school, you can, pull from this entire pool of these things that you are noting down. It could be leadership experiences that you can then put together to, buttress your graduate school application. And again, remember that I said that whatever it is that you're going to be highlighting in each application will be what is relevant to that application that you're doing. So, yeah. So now I want us to also, again, we're going to take time to think. I don't necessarily need you to reply, yeah, but I want you to begin to think. Apart from your research, like apart from your final year research, what are some projects that you contributed to? Then what are the skills that you developed? So, for example, let's say you were somebody who was not so good with writing before that project, but at the end of the project, you could produce a 500-word article. That is a skill. You develop a writing skill. So I want you to open up your mind as much as possible to know that research experience is not just bench work, right? It's not just like scientific research. Any field, as every field, social science, art, sciences, has some form of skills that they use, in their advanced work. So you want to think about it from that perspective. And again, keep a record of what you achieve. So if you're going to keep this achievement jar that I have kept here, in actual sense, it's going to be like a folder, or you can put it in an Excel sheet. You can create an Excel sheet that has 3 columns: projects, skills, and achievements that you want to keep a track of before you actually you are now in that tight corner of applying for graduate school. So keep that in mind. And I have here that, again, buttressing that is not just about the length of the project. Even if for your final year project, out of your entire 4 years in school, you probably spent 6 months to 1 year. So it's not just about how long that project was. It's about what exactly can you tell us the importance of that project? What are the skills that you developed, and what did you achieve in all of that process? So I say here that the admission communities, they are not just looking for a list of tasks, but want to see what you learned, your skills, and your contribution. Now, in identifying our skills and our achievement, I think that we can use the STAR method, which is situation, task, action, and results. So, for example, I put an example here, something that we should all be able to relate with. So, let's say they're trying to show their skill and achievement for a particular project they did. And in this case, what they did is they studied how different factors affect how well students performed in school. They are able to tell us this is what they did, right? What exactly was their specific task? Their specific task was to find factors that help or limit students learning the most. And in their action, what did they do? They compare different groups of students. Let's say students who score above 70% and students who score below. And they analyze survey. In this case, it could be like a Google form survey, it could be a QR code that they had to scan or something. It could be test data, and they use that to do like a repeated analysis. Then the results is that they identified, which goes back to what they wanted to do in the first place. What they wanted to do is study how different factors affect how well students perform, right? And at the end, it shows the results make sense because that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to study different factors. If you're writing right now, you're trying to put all of this together, right? Is make sure that your achievement, your skills, you're not just saying I did PCR or I did Western blots. You did Western blots to study something, and this was your task, this was the action, and this is the result. That's you're not exactly going to put it, but all of having each of your key experiences in this format will help you so much more, like when you're trying to write your statement of purpose or even your CV. So your CV is another very important document on your graduate school application. So one thing I want you to note here is that we know that verb is an action word, right? But your verb could be passive. There is an active form of a verb and there's a passive form of a verb. So you want to make sure that however you are writing your research experience, you are using active verb. So, and this will come again to the part where I say that you should own your experiences. You are not just saying, I supported, I was a part of. You need to use verb that shows that you were actually doing the work, not that you were just a bystander during the experiment. So you use active verb, then you include measurable outcomes, like, okay, at the end of this research experience, I published something, or I presented my findings, or I wrote out the protocol, I simplified the protocol for the research team that I was working on. And you are making sure that you are showing that whatever it is that you are talking about, you are showing that it has impact as it relates to your field. So to give an example, I just have this icon here. So these are two individuals, right? Okay, so between these two individuals, I put this equal sign because these two people, both of them, they have bachelor's degree, no work experience. So they have on the grand scheme of things, they are equal. Like people that know them in total know that they have the same, maybe they both graduated with first class or they both graduated with second class or par. So if you know them, you know that there's nothing too significantly different between this individual. However, how they present their experiences would affect how they are perceived. So this person A, for example, listed, oh, they were a research assistant in the university research lab from this year to this year. The first thing here they listed is that they assisted with research projects. First off, looking at this, the word assisted, like I said, I understand that for most of us, if after your first degree, you most likely did not spearhead the experiment. But when you say assisted, and you're trying to get a PhD program that has a funding of like $40,000, it's like, we need somebody who is able to think more independently on their own. And we don't want to spend $40,000, somebody that will just be assisting to few pipette tips. Do you guys understand me? So you need to show yourself as really valuable. So the word assisted is a passive verb, like it shows that you were just passive. So they said they collected and analyzed data. They didn't even tell us what kind of analysis they did. They said they conducted this literature reviews, which is not bad. they participated in lab meeting. What does that mean? They didn't even say they presented, they participated. Okay, now they're saying they presented results during group discussions. All right. So now let's look at person B with the same level of experience. Person B, okay, the role, the institution, and the year. First off, this person told us that they investigated factors influencing learning outcomes by designing comparative analysis and analyzing survey and performance data. And again, they gave us the number of sample of people that they worked on. So in this case, this person gave us a clear description of the project. This person just told us that they assisted with research project. What the project is, we don't know. So in this case, it's the same experiment. This is a perfect case of LinkedIn profile. This is a perfect case. As much as I don't encourage people to unnecessarily glorify things, but I think that it is very important that you speak for yourself in the right approach, especially when it concerns things like this. Trust me, you're not the only one applying. There are a lot of people, not just from your country, not just from your school, a lot of people all over the globe trying to apply to the same program. And you must try as much as possible to put your best self forward. Then also look at the next thing. Person talk about the statistical methods that they use. This person just said analyze data. So I can go on and on with this, but the idea is that two people with the same level of experience, the same degree, the same exposure can totally be different in how they present it. And you will not be there when they are looking at it to explain that, what this person did is also what I did. So save yourself the sorry case by making sure that your CV is as delicious as detailed. Again, I don't encourage lying. If there is a skill that is important in your field, if it's something you can learn on your own, like you can self-school yourself, maybe you didn't learn it during your undergraduate, but you can, go to YouTube, learn it, or take some free online courses, or go to Coursera and you can learn. Please do yourself the favor of learning it, because even with all of the research experience, if you have the research experience and you come, let's say you get your graduate program application you are in, you might still have a rough start. Like, that's even if you have the skill. But if you don't have everything, you are having to learn everything from the scratch after you have, packaged your application with a lot of lies. You don't want to be in that situation. So that's why it is good that you get the experience and also portray the experience properly. Okay, so the next thing I'll talk about is your SOP. If you've ever made any application to graduate program, you should know what SOP stands for. SOP is your statement of purpose. It could be personal statement of purpose, statement of inspiration. They have all sorts of names for that bucket of words. So your SOP should highlight your role again, what you did, even if it's a group work, your contribution and impact, and then it should connect your experience to your research goal. So for example, let's say your research, your PhD program you're applying for, your master's program you're applying for is using a very, very advanced kind of microscopy skill. So like, let's say like a confocal microscopy. But in all sincerity, you know that there's nobody in your undergraduate university that has a confocal microscopy. You don't need to lie, but you could have like the normal scanning electron microscope. You could have that. So you could easily say that, if I have sufficiently been able to, use a scanning electron microscopy for this project, I am very confident of my ability to quickly learn confocal microscopy. So even though you have the goal of learning confocal microscopy, you can show that, you were quick and apt to use scanning electron microscopy and you produce very nice image. Maybe it was published and all of that. And you are showing growth. Like I said, the reason why you are going into your master's or your PhD program is because you want to learn more. You don't want to tell them that you know everything, then there's no need for you to be applying if you even know everything. So you are showing steady growth, learning, and curiosity. I hope this makes sense. I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying. So again, I have these two individuals again. Between these two people again, everything is about equal. This time they both have a bachelor's and they both have a master's degree. But let's look at how person A presented. Like, this is a paragraph out of their statement of purpose. So person A said that during my undergraduate and graduate training, let's say that probably they have a master's, I gained research experience in data analysis, experimental design, and literature review. I worked in a research group where I assisted with data collection, performed statistical analysis, and participated in group meetings. I also presented my work during lab meetings and contributed to ongoing projects. These experiences helped me develop skills in teamwork, problem solving, and research methods, which I hope to further develop in graduate school. This, on just looking at it, looks good. Can anybody tell me what they think can be improved about this this statement of this particular paragraph? Good evening, Ma. Thank you.
So what I was thinking is that at the place where you said I assist with data collection, like the quantity of the data collection is he or she articulate.
Awesome. Yeah. So you need to put numbers. Like you can tell us what kind of data. You can tell us the number of people, right? This person said gain research experience in data analysis. They could have also mentioned what particular software. Was it Excel? So it could be more active. They are using verbs, right? But these are mostly passive verbs. Or like person B. So let's look at person B. Person B, the same experience. So person B said, during my undergraduate and graduate training, I investigated how specific factors influence learning outcomes, an experience that shaped my interest in research driven problem solving. This first line shows potential and it shows curiosity. So this person already tells us that they have interest in research driven problem solving. They also said that they designed comparative analysis, not just analysis. They told us comparative analysis, which could be that maybe they did like a t-test, a ANOVA test, they analyzed survey and performance data, they validated results through repeated testing, which led to the identification. So they told us that this is what they designed. They are giving us the outcome. It led to the identification of key variables that improved outcomes. This work, like this again, is showing their importance. This work resulted in one conference paper, one conference poster presentation, and informed a standardized data analysis protocol now used by their research group. That's like if I'm a PI, this is a take on. I want people that will make work in my lab to be easier. People that will come, like when they leave, you know that they made impact, right? And through this process, I developed strong analytical and communication skills and learned how to translate data into actionable insight, reinforcing my motivation to pursue advanced graduate degree. This last statement here is so smart because the person again is telling them why they are applying to graduate school because they just showed that they have that motivation, right, to pursue advanced graduate degree. And trust me, you will need a lot of motivation in graduate school. Okay, so this is about my last step. I don't have a lot to say. There is this temptation when it comes to applying to graduate program to think that maybe you're applying for biomedical science, biology, immunology focused program. They're all like very similar under similar biology bracket, right? But you don't want to make the mistake of submitting the same application every single program. Yes, it's the same you. Yes, it's the same research experience. But if you go back to the first point that we mentioned, you have to make sure that you are highlighting key experiences to each program that it is that you're applying for. You are the one that know why you're applying. You're the one that know how badly you want it. So again, I was talking about aligning your project for each program focus. And again, you are making sure you are emphasizing relevant techniques or models and you are showing faculty fit. So even within one single program, there could be different faculties that you're interested in working with and their research interests or like their research or model organizing could be different. You want to make sure that you are showing each faculty, let's say you are still in the stage of writing code emails, you are showing each faculty what would entice them to think that you are the best fit for their program, right? So you don't want to just shoot a generic mail or just shoot a mail that lists all your entire experiences, but you are making, even if you're going to talk about other experiences, you're making sure the first one, the one that would be like the very first thing they see is showing that, oh, this person is a good potential for my lab or for my research team. So again, if applying for computational biology program, highlight modeling data analysis. If applying for immunology, talk about lab, right? Because that's what they are doing in immunology. And in computational biology, they are talking about modeling and data analysis. Okay, at this point, I'll take any question from you guys, and I hope that you have questions because I would love to hear them.
Okay, sorry. The last slide you talked about biology, the main faculty that we need to align, modeling that like we need to align majorly for the program. Okay, what about someone who studied library? What is the major ally of that course?
Someone who studied library studies,
Yeah, like library information studies.
library information studies, awesome. So library information studies, what you will be highlighting is, first of all, before you start highlighting anything, for example, go to the program that you are interested in, right? And look at you, they would be, it might not be directly listed in like bullet points, but there'll be like, you can see generally what are the skills that is needed for that your program. I don't know if you get me. What are the kind of, or if you go to the faculty page, like faculty in most Western world doesn't mean like faculty of science, but faculty is an individual in this place, like your professor or your doctor. So what are the research that they are doing? I might not be able to talk to library studies because that's not really my field. So you are the one that know what is the kind of research that is done in your field and what skills that will be needed for that research, if that makes sense. So I would think that for example, somebody who is like in communication, there'll be a lot of writing. So if you are going into a program that will need a lot of writing, then you should have some form of writing skills and experience, right? You should have like articles published somewhere, even if it's not in like a big journal. You should have skills that make sense to what you want to do in the future. Does that answer your question?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
My pleasure. Any other question?
All right. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Ma.
Yeah, ma, you talked about professors, how to like reaching out to professors. So I want to ask, how can we reach out to them? Like, how do we get their names? I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to ask.
Oh yeah, I perfectly understand what you're asking. So information in many graduate school abroad is very accessible. Like their website is, let me see if I can do like a quick search for us right now. See faculty members, Department of Biology, Minnesota State, MNSU, so for example. Okay, yeah, awesome. Thank you for that good tip. So for example, these are all the faculty members. This is the school where I finished my master's from. These are different faculty members, right? You see the email of this person is there. You can obviously not call them, but information is very accessible. There's no gatekeeping. Like there's nothing like one professor email is very special. You can easily copy this email address and reach out. But before you copy, obviously, it makes sense that you check. You're not just messaging every faculty member. You're checking what's their research experience. Look at this person. This person is telling you that this is their interest. So they are talking about neuroendocrinology. If you like, be talking to them about cardiovascular. Nothing, that's not their business. This person's interest is in, they're doing neurons and endocrinology. So if you are reaching out to them, that's because you have interest in what they are doing. You cannot form a new research group under their research group. That's because you have like interest in this and you have meaningful experience. Obviously, you might not have done a big research in that field, but let's say you use the same. This person uses lizards. Let's say you use lizard for your undergraduate research too. So it kind of makes sense. You have something to offer them. You are not just coming as somebody that don't know anything, right? So that's how you find people and you email them. Now the question is whether they will reply. It might take a couple of back and forth. Trust me, the journey to graduate school is filled with thorns. It's not bed of roses at all. So you just have to have what do they call it? Shock absorber. You email some people. It might be that they don't have content for you. It might be that their lab is full, and some people might not respond, and that's fine. After you you message them for the first time. The second time, you can send a follow-up. The third time, they still don't reply. Just look for the next person that has similar research experience. I hope that helped.
Thank you so much for this wonderful session. I think I have a question. I think it's for people. Some people they have applied to some schools in the US. I know some, and initially they were giving some schools give an admission, but because of the visa processing now, like the person is they are kind of like they don't know what to do. So like, what would you advise? Is it possible to differ? Is it like, or what would you advise about applying generally to US schools at this time? One for the person that's been given admission already with funding. Second for new people that they really like, they would really prefer the US. So, what would you just advise?
Yeah, that question is a very dicey question. That's why I said that even for me, I try to like focus more on talking about, things that will help you to advance in your career generally and not just the United States. So I think the best thing you can do in all sincerity is to first of all maintain a good relationship sort of with your graduate school. Yeah. So there's somebody who has been communicating with you, right? There's somebody who sent you that. Let them understand the situation of things, that the visa, like, be as plain as possible, as polite as possible, and make sure you're picking up on time, right? Because if it's too late, obviously, if school has started, there might be nothing they can help you with. So the best thing I think is to communicate with them. They are the one that will give you the options. They will tell you if it is possible for you to defer. If it is like, let's say the person was planning to come in spring and they're giving you an option to defer to fall, that's very good because anything could have happened between now and August. Like the visa ban could have been lifted and you'll be able to go to the United States, right? So, like I said, I think the first thing is to communicate. Don't go silent. Don't go silent, hoping that tomorrow they will lift the ban. And they do not, right? So don't just be in a limbo. So talk to them. They'll tell you if that option is available. If it's a program that doesn't have like a hands-on, like it's not science, it's not lab and all that, maybe they can offer you online because there was a COVID time where nobody could travel.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe they could offer you like start on online. So you also could come up with ideas of what you think. Like, oh, I'm thinking, can I defer or can I start online? There are obviously some programs that you cannot start online. There's nothing you can really do about that. But just be as honest as possible. And I believe that the word is our oyster. Try to spread your tentacles. They are very, trust me, the standard of education in many Western countries is very similar, right? The most important thing is that you are not just passing time. You are doing something, even if it's a work experience. So even if you are delayed for a while, you're not just waiting in limbo. Trust me, you want to make sure you are constantly improving yourself. That's what I can say.
Okay, thank you very much. We have one question in the chat box, and I'll just add a little to it. So the question says, can I know some of the skills you gained at the biotech company that you applied to? Then I just wanted to add, some people have graduated, they have a little time now, I mean, to also gain research skills. Like, how can they search for, maybe like there are some, thank God for how like some of these biotech companies are now like coming up in Nigeria. Before they were known. There are companies like Inkaba, like some people go to IITA too. So like, how can they leverage on, at least there's a little time, some of them want to maybe develop their skills more. Maybe during their undergraduate days they did not have that opportunity, but now they just want to maybe like intern or maybe 3 months, or just look for a place to just to attach. So please, can you help us with that?
Awesome. Yeah, so I worked at Inkaba when I was in Nigeria, and sincerely, that was one of the best things that happened to me because I gained a lot. I did, it was molecular biology. I think it was DNA extraction, RNA extraction, gel electrophoresis, PCR. I had quite a good foundation from Inkaba. But I would say, in all sincerity, how many people can Inkaba take? The truth is, don't always put your eyes on the big places, quote and unquote. There is your research supervisor that you did your undergraduate with. They can take you on as graduate assistants. Like, it doesn't necessarily, okay, while you're still trying to apply to that big company, you can, in the meantime, work as a graduate assistant. They might not even be offering you money, not sincerity of things, but you are the one that know the bigger picture that you're looking at. Because those gaps on your CV, imagine all the 3 years that I was hoping to go to graduate school and I didn't have it. I was just waiting that one graduate school would take me. If I was not improving myself, trust me, nobody would nobody would take me. So it might not be a big company, it might not be somewhere where they are offering you money. You might need to like take up other skills. You might need to learn something about data, and that, even if it's not your field, just something that can, in the meantime, I'm trying to sort out my bills, and also I'm trying to get myself ready for this long-term future, right? So one of the easiest way I know to get experience is that your lecturer in your undergraduate. Ask them, can you stay in their lab? That your lecturer that you don't like, so make sure you like them. make sure you keep a good rapport. And trust me, I know a lot of people have this mindset of, once I'm done with school, I'm done, never to come back here. But trust me, you need those people, those lecturers, you need them. They're the one that will write your statement of purpose. Sorry, your letter of recommendation. So make sure that you keep a good relationship. And if, for example, where you did your undergraduate, the lab where you did it, maybe you didn't really like the research, and you are somebody who has capacity to develop, you can also reach out to another lecturer. They might not be able to take you in as their thesis supervisor. There could be another lecturer that has a research that you're interested in and is linked to what you want to do for your graduate degree. I think you can reach out to them. And it doesn't have to be your school alone. It doesn't have to be university. It can be College of Education. Just make sure you shook yourself somewhere and you are constantly trying to improve yourself. I think, yeah, that's it. And I'm going to share a very, very interesting story of how I even got into Inkaba, right? So I had been away from Ibadan for like a year for my youth service, and I had just moved back to Ibadan. So between the time that I left and came back, Inkaba just surfaced, like the building just surfaced there. So I never knew. I was like, what's this company? I just saw what's the name? I saw the logo of the company. I saw chromosomes. This is what we did in school. That's why I went to meet the gate man in that face video. I was like, what do you people do here? The man just went inside, came back and brought like the office card. I was like, go to this website. The man said doesn't know, he's a gate man. Go to this website and go. So that's why I went to the website, I saw the email. I packaged my CV, wrote a code email, and just like it was not like they posted job. I just posted. I just like, okay, I'm interested in this. I have this degree. Make sure your class of graduation too is good, because you're not able to approach somebody if your class of degree is not very factualizing. So I was like, I have this. I'm interested. You know the way I packaged it. When I look back at that email, I'm like, So you're like, I have this. I'm very quick to learn. I'm punctual. You put it there. Something that I say, I'm a very punctual person. I'm quick to learn. I might not have all the skills, but I'm very willing to learn. And that's how I got the job there. I started as an intern, and before I knew it, things progressed from there. So it doesn't always have to be that they put out an application, apply for this job. You can always, the same way you are pitching yourself to graduate school lecturers, you can also pitch yourself for roles. Quickly, he said, is it advisable to go for some? It's not always easy to get scholarship on one's research of interest. Is it advisable to go for something similar? So this question, nothing is easy. That's just the sincere truth. So your area of research, I would say that there are some fields that are more populated than others. But I don't think whether you have research skill or you don't have, it's still not easy. In the bracket of you people that have, there are plenty of you that have, right? Sure, you get. It's still within all of you people that have. They will first separate people that don't even have. They first put them in one side. Then the people that have, then they will make. So it's a lot of things that influence your application. It's not just that research experience, right? Your class of what did you graduate with is important. Your CV, your statement of purpose, and every other thing that come in. Let's say a program is requiring GRE, the score of that GRE too. So it's not like once you have research experience, so every school will take you. No, because you are plenty that have that research experience. As much as it seems, it might be like, oh, Nigeria, not a lot of people have exposure to research experience, but trust me, from other countries, even from this US, for example, the undergraduates that are trying to apply for the same program with, if you know the kind of experiment they're already doing at bachelor's level, exactly. So it's not because we are not saying, oh, research experience is all that matters. Trust me, no. And that's why you should really appreciate what Mr. Tolu is doing. There are different things that come in together to affect your application. Again, your class of graduation and the grace of God. I'm not even going to lie. So all of that, but you want to increase your chances by having research experience. That's what I would say. But I think it's always good to apply to program where you are your program of strengths.
Yeah, thank you. That was a very good point. Even high school, like in the next summer, my professor will be taking us some high school students to our lab. You can imagine high school students. They are learning advanced things like flow cytometry. I don't know. The first time I ever heard of flow cytometry was, I think, during masters, and this high school student will come. So you can imagine the expectation. Like they expect that, oh, anybody that will come in, at least just have a basic idea. Maybe not everything like she said, but at least you can show that, oh, you've done something similar or related. So yeah, that's. Oh, thank you very much once again. Thank you so much. It's been a very wonderful time.